In this video, what I'm going to do for you guys today, I'm going to give my final thoughts. Let's turn it around here. My final thoughts and impressions of the Select Paddles Player. Check it out here. You see this thing? I have been putting this thing to the test. You know, you can see both blades here, and you can actually see how much damage has only been done on this, on me throwing it, me freewheeling off of it, jamming it into rocks. I put it pretty much through everything that I could think of. So what is the Select Player paddle? This paddle, so I reached out to my buddy Don at High Water Hobbies, and that's where I recommend you guys get this from, because I reached out to him and I was talking to him about a paddle that is foam core that I can kind of like jam into things. I use a G-Power and a Lettman on a lot of things, but I don't want to hit a single rock at all. I don't like throwing them. I don't like tossing them into trees. I hate doing that with my G-Power or Lettman. So I needed kind of a paddle to do for my slicey boating and full slice and half slice paddling. He recommended me this one, and I've been trying it out here to see how much abuse it can take. Look how thick this thing is. The first thing that I noticed when I got it, I seen it and I was like, number one, look at this shape. This shape looks familiar to me, and actually, way it looks familiar to me is a paddle that I've had for years. This. If anybody knows what this is the AT Super Duty. It is a half, by the way. It's my sample. But look at these two paddle shapes. Look at these blade shapes on these things. Super Duty and Select Player. Look at the power face and look at the non-power face. Is that not crazy? This has been one of the best designed blades in history, in my opinion. That thing, and they're tough. They're a little heavy, but they're tough. So looking at these two side by side, I need it. And the spoon, I don't know if you can see the spoon in it, the bend and the spoon is very similar. So that catch that this has the power and feel of the AT2. So that's awesome, because I really like this. But one thing you see, that's something called Dynel. And Dynel is an abrasion resistance thing. And what I had found, any paddle with a Dynel, whether it be this AT or a Shogun, a Adachi, whatever, after you wear down this first initial piece, the paddles start to split around the Dynel and it busts open and it starts coming apart. Notice what Select did. This is something called their Superlight series. And if you guys, the Superlight is, what the Superlight series is it's a stack of carbon with carbon reinforcement under it, and it has something called a Arex foam core interline with prepreg carbon, and the same way on each side. So this is actually stacked carbon fiber all the way around. And their shaft, I think that's all prepreg carbon. They have a really nice shaft on that. I don't know how they're doing that right there. That's interesting to me. I almost want to cut that and peel it off to see what's going on under it. One of my favorite paddles of all time that I've been using for everything has been my Warner Surge. And you can see this is already starting, like every Warner, you see how thin that is? This is fiberglass. This is all fiberglass, by the way. So, you know, it's not a fair comparison, the fiberglass against the carbon fiber. But one of the things that I really wanted to talk about was, a lot of people mentioned how heavy these Select paddles were. I actually weighed this Warner Surge. It's zeroed out, zero. I've got a 1 pound weight here that I do my curls with. That's how you get buff, is using light weights. And if you move it around a little bit, I get exactly 16, 15.9, 16, which is calibrated right to the money of that right there. I'm going to put the Select Player on there first. And you can see I do have tape on it. I get it. What is the tape? A half a gram. Let's try to get it on there the best we can. Let's call that 33.6. 33.6. None of the ends are touching. There you go. The Select Player, put that one down. Warner Surge here, straight shaft, both of them are in 200 centimeters. Let's put the Warner Surge on there, just because I heard several things on this one. Okay, we're at 34.6. Exactly 1 ounce difference between a Warner 200 centimeter Surge and a Select Player. And what is that in grams? Let's go to grams. And grams were 1,006 grams, which is give or take, because I know Warner has their website, they have it at 999, but you know, this is a 200, and I think they weigh like a 197 or something. Let's do this one in grams. So the Select Player in grams, I've got 986 somewhere between 984 and 988 as far as like 984 grams as far as grams on the Select, and that's with the, and this is a 200 with the tape on there. You could subtract maybe a half a gram here and there. So there you go, everybody. Now what I want to do is do a thickness test. Look at the thickness in that blade right there. So all right, calipers are zeroed out. Let's just check the thicknesses right about there. 3.14. Check the thickness on that. 1.3. So 3 times as thick there. As you can see, the thickness in this blade, this is almost paper thin, and these things are bad about breaking right here. This is paper thin, and then it wears down pretty easy right here. But look at the thickness in this. This thing is an absolute tank. When you look at that blade, the thickness stays all the way around. So yeah, there you go. That's the thickness test on these things. I did the weights, I did the thicknesses. Both of them are right hand control, 30 offset, 200 centimeters. This came in around about 980 to 984. It kept kind of fluctuating. So you're looking at 980 something grams to 1,000 grams, which isn't a lot, but that's comparable to me because this is a very popular paddle and everybody uses it. So if you kind of want to know what one of these weighs, if you've got one of these Werners that are around about 999 grams is what they have on their website, that's pretty accurate, and I feel that that's exactly what this paddle weighs. As far as weight, it feels good. The 725 centimeters is the surface area here. One large blade gives you the ability to really like crank off a freewheel or do one move blade, which I do a lot in play boating. I'll plant a blade here and I'll either cartwheel off of it or pry a stern stall or a splat or something off of it. And I want a paddle that I'm not worried about in those stern stalls and splats. You're going to bang rocks a lot, which happens a lot. And I like to throw, you know, I like to throw them and cross bow switch. So goofy stuff. You know, I love my paddle moves. And one thing I'd also found on this paddle, it's very buoyant in the water. So I threw it down and let it float around, and it's got a very buoyant feel in the water. So I let a few others paddle with it. Everybody that I let use it came away liking it, and everybody thought it felt great in the hands and has a lot of power. So in final thoughts here, what I really liked about the paddle was the fact that it feels absolutely bomber in the water. It doesn't feel like it's going to break. It doesn't feel fragile. But also on top of that, it's very well designed. So it's a good designed paddle too. They did a good job on the design features of this, and they made it like really like stiff. So I get to transfer that energy off of one hand a lot. It's buoyant. When it goes in, it does want to come back out. It has a good buoyant feel when you're taking paddle strokes in it. And their shaft diameter is kind of like a medium. It's not as large as my Surge. The Surge has a wider shaft on it, but this shaft feels about right. A few of my dislikes about it, a few cons on it, it doesn't have a good indexing. And that's why you see a tape here, and I added the tape, number one, I mean, obviously for color, because it's an all jet black paddle, try to find this thing in the water. And I had to add some sort of indexing right there where I knew where my hand was. So it doesn't have a good indexing. If you guys struggle with that, you might not like Select Shaft. I really like this paddle a lot. I'll be using it on my slicey boat days and my half slice days. I might not use it so much on some downriver stuff, but any type of manky creeking, I want a paddle that can really take a jam in a rock and I can hit a lot of rocks with, and without worrying about it being damaged or broken. So far, every Select paddle that I've used and tested, I really like every one of them. I think they did a really good job. They're a really kind of like additional paddle out there that you guys could check out. I think the paddle market's finally caught back up, so we have a lot of options out there, and I really like that a lot. But you guys leave in the comments below what you think of Select paddles, if you've ever owned one, or whether it be the Wild, the Warrior, or this Player, and what your opinion is on it, because I like hearing what you guys have to say. And if you're wanting to pick one of these up, I'll leave links below where you can get one. Who I use, I think, you know, Splatipus Imports has them in now. The CKAS Online and Don at High Water Hobbies, and that's where I got this one at. And you tell them I sent you, they'll probably all give you a free sticker. So yeah, there you go. Get your free sticker, get your paddle. These retail for $378 right now. They might be doing some sort of sale or package deal. If you talk to Don, there might be some sort of package deal if you buy a boat and a life vest and several other things. That's all I got today, guys, on the Select Player, not the Werner Player, by the way. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the water. Woo!